All right, I think everybody is in. I haven't seen anybody else hop on, so I think we can go ahead and get started if everybody's ready. Um, Welcome to the DCO Workforce Programs, our program manual orientation part 4. Thank you for joining us again today. As noted in each of these sessions, the 2026 CEJA manual comprises 12 sections, which we've covered in a series of these orientation sessions so far. This is the last of our planned webinar series. And again, just like before, we'll cover some of the same information of the target audience for this program is the program administrators and respective staff that are accountable for implementing the CEJA Illinois Clean Job Workforce Network Program, the CEJA Illinois Energy Transition Navigators Program, and the FEJA Multicultural Jobs Program, and the FEJA Solar Pipeline Training Program. Um, as with the other sessions, this is based on the Workforce Hubs program manual, but any differences are going to be highlighted. And thanks again to everybody for joining. Um, and again, guidance for the FEJA CEJA workforce programs is provided in each of the respective program manuals. So if you have not yet done so, please access the available chapters on Illinois WorkNet. A link to the published chapters will be put into the chat. Um, and that for Please note that for the guidance for each of these programs, as well as correlating policy, will continue to be formalized and made available to you and to the grantees. Please expect a quarter 2 or 3 release of relevant chapters. And in addition, DCO can modify or update that guidance at any time. All right, once again, we're just going to introduce ourselves. So I am Connor Bertrand. I am the CEJA grant manager for the Northern region, and I'm also the main grant manager for the FEJA Solar Pipeline Training. And I'll pass it to Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. Sarah Graham. I am the CEJA grant manager for the Southern and Central regions, as well as returning residents and FEJA multicultural jobs.
And hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Cerruti, and I'm the CEJA Southern Regional Administrator and overseeing the Workforce Hubs and the Navigator Program and the Returning Residents Programs.
Hi again, I'm Nate Keener, CEJA Central Regional Administrator, overseeing those workforce programs in uh, Decatur, Danville, Champaign, Peoria, Rockford, and Kankakee. I don't think Larry's on.
I don't
Hi,
see him on.
everybody. I'm Diana Fuller. I'm the CEJA Division Manager. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Again, just some Zoom basics. I'm sure by now everybody has enough experience with these Zoom calls and WebEx calls and on all of these to know most of this. But again, just please a reminder to um, mute yourself whenever you join the call. If you have any questions, please put those in chat or use the emoji to raise your hand. Um, and again, all of these sessions are going to be recorded to have later on. Next slide, please. So if everybody could please just drop a quick introduction in chat. So please share your name, organization, and your role with your organization. So I'll give a minute for everybody to do that. All right, it looks like we've got a lot of people putting their introductions in the chat, so I think we're good to go to the next slide. I think it needs one more click. For some reason, the text isn't showing. But so we have a little icebreaker question here. So what do you hope to get out of this workshop today? And again, you can just put that in chat, just like the introduction. So I'll give everybody another minute to get that comment in the chat.
Looks like Aaron Cross says more understanding about the program. We have Carrie Thurman, all the information that I can get. Again, as much information to ensure we are successful by Claudia. Thinking about what do we hope to get out of today's session. More comprehensive understanding of CEJA policies and procedures. Thank you, Greg. How I get assigned to our navigators. And if we can still get referred candidates from others, that's a good one. The full picture and functions for success. Clarification on processes and responsibilities of Navigator and Hub. Greg's got lots of things. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to everybody who put that in chat. I think we can go to the next one here. So just a quick overview of what will be covered today. So the final session today, we're going to be covering chapter 9 through 12. So chapter 9 is professional development. Chapter 10 is data management. Chapter 11 will cover finances, records, and reports. And chapter 12 will be about programmatic monitoring and audit requirements. So section 2 is professional development. We covered the end of the participant life cycle in session 3. So this last session and these last 4 chapters are really more about you as grantees and making sure that you have the information and support you need to run a successful CEJA or FEJA training program. So let's get to chapter 9. So the section objectives for today, by the end of this section, learners will be able to identify the professional development opportunities provided by DCEO. You'll be able to reference professional development expectations for grantees. You'll be able to consider the internal professional development needs of your staff, and you'll be able to ensure your program integrates the CEJA core equity values. And again, if you have any questions regarding the content, please feel free to unmute and add your question in the chat. So section 1, for the FEJA, CEJA, DCEO, and Workforce Hubs, the Chapter 9 professional development. So the first 20 minutes will be focused on this Chapter 9. It will provide an overview of the professional development resources that DCEO makes available, the expectation and program requirements for professional development, and how to address staff needs that will lead to continuous program improvements. So professional development expectations. Why is professional development so important? It includes trainings, supportive resources, and technical assistance. Together, these professional development offerings help improve performance and successful program implementation. Professional development is required by DCEO. Then we have our different types of professional development. So we have webinars, in-person trainings, technical assistance, CEJA meetings, and the annual CEJA Workforce Summit are all offered by DCEO to help grantees leverage their organizational capacity, their previous programmatic and grant experience, subject matter expertise, and your partnerships. All of these aspects of an organization go into the implementation of a CEJA Workforce Training Program. Professional development will take place periodically in structured group trainings, one-on-one sessions, or small group assistance settings. It will be offered in person or via WebEx. And keep in mind that DCO will provide a basic equity training, but grantees are expected to develop a more in-depth training that helps staff integrate and uphold equity throughout the CEJA Workforce Training Program. Then we have our types of professional development. So our webinars and in-person training sessions might include, but are not limited to, basic equity training, instructor accreditation and certification for program delivery, developing and implementing the curriculum, providing barrier reduction service, delivering effective transition services, building relationships with clean energy employers, budgeting and fiscal requirements, grantee requested topics. Um, these offerings are really designed to provide grantees with information on entering and accessing program data in the CEJA reporting system, utilizing the grantee manuals, and implementing critical program requirements. You already have experience with these, having attended this in previous sessions. And as we've mentioned, resources like these trainings will always be made available as recordings and posted to your respective CEJA Workforce Program Partner Guide. Technical assistance is driven by program reports and delivered with the goal of program performance improvement. In general, technical assistance involves troubleshooting and problem solving to ensure program compliance and the ability to achieve the program's desired outcomes. You may also receive technical assistance to ensure that your program is aligned with program requirements and is reaching milestones for successful implementation. Please note that your specific regional administrator should be contacted for questions regarding program administration, program implementation, and program policy. Your specific grant manager should be contacted for questions regarding grant requirements and agreements. So we want to hear from you. Technical Assistance Tuesdays. So we have open Q&A and troubleshooting, the opportunities to share challenges and solutions, and you can actively participate, collaborate, and help us help you. So on those calls, you can ask, what topics should we cover, share your successes. Sometimes these check-ins will cover specific subjects outlined by RAs and grant managers, but mostly these are an opportunity to just check in, address your concerns, challenges, and cover best practices. So please take advantage of these sessions by actively engaging and letting us know how to help. CEJA meetings. So CEJA meetings will be held online or in person to provide professional development opportunities for CEJA Workforce Program grantees. These meetings are intended to promote networking and coordination opportunities between grantees and programs. Training and development sessions will focus on grantee needs, provide programmatic updates, and support data entry into the CEJA reporting system. The CEJA reporting system office hours. So these CEJA meetings include dedicated office hours for the reporting system. This time can be used to address any help needed for data entry support, troubleshooting, and clarifying reporting requirements. Things like participants showing up as they should, the correct number of participants receiving supportive services, making sure that data is showing correctly, etc. The CEJA Annual Workforce Summit. So the CEJA Annual Workforce Summit is an in-person event that encourages industry subject matter experts and program practitioners to share and exchange their ideas, their information, experiences, and new technologies. The target audience for this event is all CEJA Workforce Program administrators, staff, instructors, and their partners. Grantee Internal Professional Development. I think there's more text if you click again. I think it's not. There we go. Thank you. So a well-trained staff is necessary for effective programming, and a well-developed professional development plan is essential to ensuring staff have the necessary skills to perform their jobs. So grantees are encouraged to develop an internal professional development plan to meet the specific needs of their program instructors and staff. So an internal professional development plan, at a minimum, should include staff expectations and some description of professional development itself. So staff expectations identify what program staff need to know and what they should be able to do to succeed in their role, including knowledge, which would be facts and information acquired through training, education, and experience. Their skills, which would be the ability to do something well, perform, or execute a task. Their behaviors, which are their actions, including how one conducts themselves towards or around others. And their attitudes, which are their ways of thinking or feeling that impact actions, decisions, and others. There are many professional development opportunities for program staff, which are including but not limited to continuing education. So, for example, academic courses or workshops through colleges or other institutions. Professional development organizations, so professional associations or professional conferences. Skill-based training, so certifications, trade development programs, mentors or sponsorships, or feedback, so regular performance review or accessing specific CEJA reporting system dashboards and reports. So we have another question for everyone to try to answer in chat. So what are some of the professional development opportunities that have been most successful or valuable to your organization? And again, you can just put those in chat and we'll give a minute or two for everybody to think this one over. All right, so I see Carrie said check-in sessions with their grant manager. Let's see. Networking with other grantees at the Illinois Workforce Summit. And I'll give it another little bit here for anybody who's still got their answers getting typed up.
We had a few more. One said reporting from Aaron Cross, and Claudia said developmental relationships. It helps build rapport with participants and staff. Grant trainings. Lots of good answers. True colors, which help identify personality type, and it helps to learn how to work with each other.
All right, those are all good professional opportunities. So thank you everybody for who answered in chat, and we'll continue on. So, excuse me, successful implementation of the CEJA workforce training programs integrates the program's core equity values to foster an environment that allows individuals to feel safe, participate fully, and reach their fullest potential. All members of your team must receive training in these core equity values. And these core equity values are on the slide here. It's diversity, belonging, welcoming, accessibility, and inclusion. And while DCO will provide basic equity training, it is the grantee's responsibility to ensure that their staff is appropriately trained to incorporate the core equity values into their service delivery approach. Your respective CEJA program manuals and partner guides will have more resources for you to explore. Professional development related to equity may involve helping staff develop the linguistic and cultural competency skills necessary to interact with diverse participants. Skill development may include, but not be limited to, refraining from judgment. So cultural differences can cause certain interactions to feel odd or unusual. These impressions are normal when individuals are from different cultures interact. Interactions should not be categorized as good, bad, wrong, or right. They should just be seen as different and non-punitive. Empathizing. So empathizing with others or putting yourself in their shoes. This helps ease communication and provides a foundation for kindness and respect. When staff and participants can empathize with each other, especially across differences, this improves team cohesion and helps to prevent harmful misunderstandings. Clarifying understanding. So clarify your understanding of what is being communicated. Broken English, accents, and dialects can interfere with effective communication. Do not assume. Instead, Respectfully clarify your understanding by either paraphrasing or reframing what you heard and asking for confirmation that your understanding is accurate. And finally, seeking first to understand. When reasoning seems irrational or unfamiliar, seek first to understand. Understanding intentions and or the implications of what is being communicated is just as important, if not more important than clarifying understanding. While clarifying understanding gives you the what, taking time to seek first to understand intentions gives you the why. And this information can be key to fully understanding someone inquiring about your program, either for themselves, relatives, a participant, and effectively responding to their needs. Use phrases like tell me more or can you explain further? And I believe I will pass it off to Nate.
You got it. Thanks, Connor. I am here to talk about data management. So yeah, you can go to the next slide. Yep, thank you. So this chapter will highlight the data management process, the types of data grantees must collect and report, the role of the CEJA reporting system, and the importance of accurate data management. By the end of this training, you will be able to apply each step in the data management process, leverage program data to enhance program delivery, describe expectations for participant files, comply with the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act, or GATA, utilize the periodic performance report and the periodic financial report, adhere to the compliance and review process, and attend administrative meetings. All right, let's go to the next slide, please. All right, Chapter 10, Data Management. Data is a group of information, facts, or statistics, which when analyzed can be used to understand program outcomes, uncover key insights and patterns, and contribute to informed decision-making and program improvements. Data management, then, is the administrative process of acquiring, validating, and processing data. Data management for the CEJA and FEJA workforce training programs is done through the CEJA reporting system for grantee and participant data. FEJA and CEJA uses a four-step data management process that includes data collection, data entry, quality control, and accurate reporting. This section will highlight data collection, data entry, quality control, and accurate reporting. Collecting data is a key step in the data management process. Data may come from the grantee's outreach efforts, discussions with participants, required forms like the program application, pre-screen assessment, service needs assessment, career assessment, exit interview, and follow-up questionnaire, among others, or that may come from grantee accounting systems. Next slide, please. Thank you. There are many different data sources that primarily fit within two types of data. We got grantee program data and participant data. So grantee and program data. Grantees must collect grantee and program data, which includes information about grantees, their partners, and the services provided. Grantee data includes, but may not be limited to, the curriculum utilized, instructor information, worksite location, the communities being served, the number of cohorts, the start and end dates, services offered, and outreach events held. When we talk about participant data, we are expecting that grantees will collect data from the participants that they are training, including contact information, demographic information, barrier reduction services, progress measures, and outcomes. Next slide, please. Thank you. In general, data that the grantees collect will be entered into the CEJA reporting system, which provides real-time tracking of grantees' progress. And you see on the screen here the different life cycle phases of the data collection. So we're collecting data at outreach and recruitment, during application and intake, data about the barrier reduction services we're offering, data about the training we're providing, and then, of course, data about program completion, transition to other forms of training or employment, and follow-up. Data entry then allows grantees and grant managers to identify early performance gaps and adjust, and of course, to track progress. Next slide. Data entry staff must enter into the CEJA reporting system, must enter data into the CEJA reporting system and run reports regularly to ensure data completion and accuracy. The responsibilities of the data entry staff include, but may not be limited to, creating new records and entering information, updating records, running reports to check data accuracy and quality, and communicating data and reporting problems to grant managers and SIU's CEJA reporting system technical support staff team. Data entry staff should have basic computer skills like typing, navigating file systems, opening program files, and have proficiency with basic office software. They should have CEJA reporting system training, which hopefully you all are attending in parallel with these sessions, and then access to technical assistance. And of course, we also offer technical assistance sessions for both the program side of things as well as the data entry side. Next slide. Thank you. Quality control then is the process of regularly reviewing data for accuracy. Accurate data are essential to maintaining the integrity of the program. Next slide. Staff who collect and enter data must check regularly. The frequency will depend on the data. They must check those for errors. Grant managers will verify data that grantees enter into the CEJA reporting system and notify administrators when data issues are identified. And this is a frequent topic of our conversations in our regular check-ins that we have with grantees. Is just compare the data that we're entering into the system with any other internal files that you may have. Next, there you go. Accurate reporting is the culmination of data collection, entry, and quality control efforts undertaken by staff. Accurate and timely data entry is critical for accurate reporting and effective continuous program improvement. Next slide. The CEJA reporting system is a custom database developed by DCEO in partnership with the Center for Workforce Development at Southern Illinois University. The CEJA reporting system is located on the Illinois WorkNet platform and functions as the information hub for all programmatic tracking and most program reporting. The CEJA reporting system data grantees collect will include, but may not be limited to, recruitment and outreach activities, barrier reduction services, career assessments, both from orientation and pre-transition instruction, completion and follow-up activities. Next slide. Continuous program improvement is the ongoing assessment of performance to identify ways to improve the program. FEJA and CEJA grantees should develop and implement a continuous improvement plan. Continuous improvement plans are designed to bring improvements to service delivery processes through program performance, measuring outcomes, benchmarking against program goals, brainstorming opportunities for improvement, and implementing new strategies. Continuous improvement is not just for closing performance gaps, but for helping make really good programs even better. And you see the cycle here. We're measuring outcomes. We're going to benchmark outcomes against program goals. We're going to brainstorm strategies for improvement to make sure we can meet those program goals. We're going to implement those new strategies, and then we're going to see how we did when we measured the outcomes. The CEJA reporting system helps provide feedback regarding grantee performance, and it does so through a dashboard. And each metric on the dashboard has an associated color that indicates if actions are needed for participants and the urgency with which action must be taken. So this section kind of runs through the different markers in the system and lets you know whether you are kind of behind schedule or not on those. So the CEJA dashboard is separated into the following sections: outreach, intake, referrals, service status, earned credentials, completion information, transition outcomes, and program follow-up. And sections that are coded with white on the dashboard are just for information purposes and there's no action needed. Sections in yellow indicate that there is action needed. Sections in red indicate that immediate action is needed. Sections in green mean that it is complete or meets a program requirement. And then items in gray means the participant is not enrolled or not in the program, and no action is needed. All right, so with that said, are there any questions before we take a break here? Just want to stop and see if there's any questions. If not, feel free to come off mute or type in the chat if you have any questions about what we just covered. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break. It is 9:34 by my clock, so let's be back here at 9:39. Thanks.
Okay, everybody. It is 9:39, so we are going to get started on the next section. So if I could thank you so much. I am going to be talking to you all about finances, records, and reports. They gave me the fun stuff to talk about today. So by the end of this section, you guys are going to be able to describe the expectations related to participants' files, utilize the participant file checklist to collect and maintain required documents. You will be able to learn how to comply with the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act, which I will refer to as GATA, and those requirements. You're going to be able to determine the appropriate use of funds, how to request an advance or budget mod, and how to establish a procurement policy. Utilizing the PFR and submitting monthly expenses. Explain how the performance-based payment model was designed and is applied, which we are not going to talk about. And submitting a performance-based, we're not going to talk about those last two. So I would like you guys to add any questions you have regarding this content to the chat. I know there's going to be a lot of comments about reporting, specifically the PPR, the PFR. So please add that information to the chat and we will answer those. And if there are any additional topics that you would like us to cover on these subjects, please let us know by adding those to the chat. And again, I'm going to be covering finances, records, and reports. This is chapter 11 of your program manual. I am going to provide an outline of record keeping and reporting obligations you have as grantees and the necessary forms you'll complete as part of the CEJA workforce training programs. So let's explain the role and the importance of record keeping and file maintenance. Record keeping is the maintenance of participant records, including all required documents such as applications, certificates, certifications, etc. The record keeping involves storing and organizing documents in participant files. Participant files must be collected to facilitate compliance with general program requirements. Grantees must also keep all participants' records for at least 3 years following training program completion, exit, withdrawal, or dismissal from the program. Ensuring that the participant files are kept in a secure location too. Record keeping involves inputting accurate and timely data into the CEJA reporting system. You will also need to keep a hard copy or scanned files as documentation for various items, and these include, but are not limited to, program applications, commitment agreements, age verifications, high school diplomas, GED, or the high school equivalency tests, interview questionnaires, career assessments, exit interview questionnaires, certifications and certificates, and registered apprenticeship applications. Grantees are also asked to maintain physical or scanned files for a minimum of 3 years. The participant file checklist is a tool that can help you keep track of what you'll need to keep on file and can be downloaded from the partner guide. The Grant Accountability and Transparency Act, again, GATA is how we refer to that, is designed to increase accountability and transparency in the use of grant funds. So all grantees must adhere to the GATA requirements, and they must ensure that their GATA profile is current. If you fail to comply with the requirements outlined in the grant agreement, that may lead to being placed on the Illinois Stop Payment List. And by this point, you've already had to comply with GATA requirements just to be able to have your application scored and to be awarded grant funds. But the GATA fund doesn't stop there. You will still need to ensure that you maintain your GATA profile and continue to submit reports through the GATA system. Two such standardized reports are the PPR, or the Periodic Performance Report, or the PFR, the Periodic Financial Report. The PPR, or Periodic Performance Report, collects information about the progress you're making towards your grant deliverables and the relationship between your expenditures and performance. These documents are best accessed using Microsoft Edge or by downloading them and then opening them in Adobe. You should have already received these documents from your grant manager. If for some reason you have not, please let your grant manager know, but I do know that you all have because you just had to submit these documents this past month. When you submit your PPR, you must include the cover page with the grant number, the grantee organization, your DUNS and FEEN, and period covered by the PPR. You'll also need to conform the naming convention, which is your grant number, your PPR support, and last date of reporting period. Your grant manager can answer any questions you might have about this. In addition, this document is always submitted to your grant manager. As a reminder, your first PPR will cover the period starting from the date of your grant establishment. So the next quarter you'll be reporting for is the first quarter of this year, January 1st through March 31st. And being that you might only be reporting for a small portion of the quarter, or you're new, your numbers might be smaller, it's okay if your reports have a lot of zeros. Do not worry about it. Quarterly reports are always due on the 30th of the following month after the quarter end date. So for example, the next quarterly reports will be due April 30th and the quarter ends in March. You should always plan to submit them earlier in case any revisions need to be made. Then they can be made before the 30th to avoid any delays in receiving reimbursements. These must be submitted prior to you receiving your first cash disbursement too. Therefore, we highly recommend you submit them earlier than the due date. The quarterly reports due dates are also listed in your grant agreement. The PFR, which is Periodic Financial Report, is a standard report that collects details about your grant budget and the expenditures. This has to be submitted quarterly on the same schedule as your PPR. Generally, they get submitted together in the same email to your grant manager. This document is part of the process for submitting expenses for reimbursement. If you need to submit expenses monthly, please work with your grant manager. And again, documentation that must accompany your PFR is the trial balance as supporting documentation for your expenditures, and the naming convention must be your grant number, trial balance, the last date of the reporting period. So for your next one, it's going to be 3/31/26, and the cover page that includes all of the required information, your grant number, grantee organization, DUNS, FEEN, and again, the period covered. All of this documentation needs to be submitted in a single email to your grant manager. Your financial management system must provide for accurate, current, and complete disclosure of financial results. The system must allow for tracking of funds to ensure those funds have been expended appropriately. The DCO Grantee Reporting System, or GRS, is how we refer to it, is an electronic reporting system for expenditure summary and invoice voucher submission. GRS consists of several screens accessible by grantees that allow for electronic entry of costs in cash requests. The GRS is the CEJA and FEJA Workforce Training Program fiscal reporting system, and it should be updated monthly. The grantee costs must be submitted monthly if there are costs, and the deadline for reporting the previous month's costs is on the 20th of the following month. For example, all active grants right now have a deadline of February 20th, which is tomorrow, to complete your expenditure reports for the month of January 2026. Let's say the 20th of the month is on a Saturday or Sunday. We then request that your expenditures are reported on the last business day prior to the 20th. Again, any questions, please contact your grant manager. With regard to appropriate use of funds, 2 CFR 200 is our guiding light. Everything has to be in compliance with it. Your manual has a long list of allowable grant costs, such as designing training curricula, providing industry-linked training, and associated costs like instructor costs and materials, the ongoing evaluation and refinement of curricula, student support services, and barrier reduction, stipends, and obviously many others. You are allowed as a grantee to make a budget modification. Work with your grant manager if you think that you need one, and they will help you with what to submit, how to submit, and when it's appropriate to do so. We also have standard flexibility in your grant of 10% variance on line items. When it comes to getting started, especially for some of our smaller or newer grantees, an advance of funds may be needed to successfully launch your program. You may request up to 20% of the overall grant award as an advance. Of course, this has to be requested in writing, along with required reports. Like I mentioned, your PFR and PPR have to be submitted before you can receive cash, and all of this gets submitted to your grant manager. You should also note that these advances will be subject to review and approval. You might not receive the full 20% if your submitted costs are not reasonable or truly needed in advance. Just provide as much detail as you can on what you need and why. And again, you're going to work with your grant manager on this. Now on to procurement. All grants must follow procurement standards or risk return of the funds. All grantees have documented procurement procedures consistent with state and federal regulations. More information regarding the procurement policy can be found in the DCO Grantee Resources Library, and that link was just posted in the chat for you. The CEJA team will need to review your procurement policies. In order to conditionally approve your work plan, we either need a draft of that policy or a schedule for when that policy will be developed and a draft submitted for review. These documents generally will be submitted to your grant manager and your RA. These policies must also conform with 2 CFR 200. So it's probably a good idea to become familiar with that earlier, sooner rather than later. Procurement processes must be documented. So, how do you make micro purchases? How do you make small purchases? What rules govern sealed bids? How do you solicit proposals? When are you allowed to do a non-competitive procurement? All of these things need to be spelled out and followed within your organization's procurement policy. The performance-based payment model is also discussed in the manual, but we're not going to be discussing that today. It will be specific to Workforce Hub grantees, not CEJA grantees. And there is currently no timeline for its implementation. So we will keep you guys well informed of when that is going to take place. Now that I have explained all of this information to you regarding finances, records, and reports, if you have any questions, let us know. You can type those questions in the chat, or you can always email your grant manager after the presentation, and we will be happy to assist you with any of those questions. I'm not seeing any questions yet. But again, feel free to add those at any time. And I am going to turn it over to Michelle.
Thank you, Sarah. So I'm going to go over monitoring and audits. You can go to the next slide. And this is our last section for today. And this is focusing on Chapter 12 in the program manual. Next, okay, good. No, you're on there. So I just want to review the objectives for this chapter. So by the end of this section, you should be able to describe the importance of program monitoring, adhere to the compliance review process, explain the verification of completion and transition metrics, navigate grant renewal process, comply with the progressive corrective action process, create and implement corrective action plans to get off the watch list and probation status and return to program compliance, and attend administrator meetings to learn about network updates and provide feedback on programmatic progress. Again, this presentation is just an overview of this chapter. So please post in the comments if there's anything you want us to take a deeper dive in. We can always do that in a TA session on our TA Tuesdays. Next slide, please. So program monitoring, this is the process designed to ensure that grantees are making the expected incremental progress to meet their goals as defined in their work plan. So that's why those work plans are critical to follow. The grantees assigned grant manager will conduct program monitoring. Your grant manager can provide the following support with the implementation of your programs, ensure budgets are within the scope of funding, enforce regulatory compliance, ensure grantees progress towards meeting required outcomes, enforce corrective action. And grantees funded through the CEJA and FEJA workforce training programs are subject to fiscal and programmatic monitoring. These visits are by DCO, and they're in accordance with 2 CFR 200.337, and program staff will also encourage in contact with participants when needed. So monitoring results will also be given to you in the form of a monitoring outcomes report. Next slide, please. So we also do compliance reviews, and grantees will be assessed to determine program impact and target populations and the effective, efficient use of funds during these compliance reviews. And the reviews will just assess how well grantee staff are meeting proposed goals in the planned timeframes, how many participants are being served, how the money's being spent, whether any problems have developed that may hinder progress of the project. And again, when we do these compliance reviews, we're really looking at your work plan and making sure you're following that. And these are just to help you prior to a full monitoring. Next slide, please. So these compliance reviews may also assess if grantees are delivering services in a way that's compliant with DCO standards, policies, and procedures, state of Illinois regulatory guidelines, state and federal laws, and program requirements and guidance that's outlined in the grantee manual, including core equity values, grant agreements, and work plans. Next slide. Okay. Grant managers and other DCO staff may conduct periodic on-site compliance reviews at least once a year and remote reviews of reporting data at least once a month during the grant period. All programs are subject to compliance reviews throughout the fiscal year. The reviews include, but they're not limited to, validating that the grantee's financial management system is structured to provide accurate, current, and complete disclosure of grant expenditures, confirming that all expenditures are in accordance with the provisions, terms, and conditions contained in the grant agreement with the Department of Commerce, verifying that participant files are maintained and contain documentation to be sufficient to demonstrate eligibility for participation in the program, supportive services, and credentials they seek to earn. Can't talk today. Um, a compliance progress report will be provided to grantees that with their overall progress, notes regarding their progress, and any relative data trends identified in the review. The compliance progress report will be done in the form of a compliance outcome report. Next slide. So the state of Illinois requires all grantees to comply with federal audit requirements in addition to state-specific audit requirements. So this section provides an overview of the different types of audits and when they are required. And for more information regarding audit requirements and compliance, be sure to visit your grant agreement and the GATA library, which I think that was posted, but I'm going to post it, the link. Oh, okay, great. Thank you, Mikkel. Or you can contact CEO External Audit, and I think Mikhail can. Oh, she posted that in the chat as well. Okay. Next slide. So, what questions do you have about any of the covered topics, any of the topics we've covered today? Please feel free to post in the chat. Again, this session was over data management, finances, record keeping, audits, and monitoring. You're also welcome to come off mute if you have a question that you want to ask. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So again, if something comes up that after you've really reviewed this presentation again, this will be sent to you, and so will the recording. Please feel free to reach out to any of us, and you could go to the next slide. And if there's something that you want us to dive deeper into, we're happy to do that in a TA Tuesday. So be sure to come to those TA Tuesdays. They are required. And just thank you for your time today. Thank you, Mikkel. And again, last call for questions. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you all for joining our session today for this webinar. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Greg. You as well. All right, it looks like there were no last minute questions. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, Mikhail.
Yeah, of course.